everyone, page 6. Happy New Year to everyone. We're so happy to see you here. I would already say this is a slam dunk of a new year. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Batami Moses, our wonderful cantor. Thank you, Tom Gall and our choir already. Thank you all for coming tonight. Our high holiday theme, we choose a theme every year at Temple of Israel. And this year feels very apropos, shuvu. The word shuvu means come home. It means return, just as we said. Related to the word teshuvah. So return, this is God calling to us. Come on back, come on home, come in, return. But also we're calling to each other, which is really why I'm so happy to see you all here tonight, because we all said, let's go home. Let's just go home to that place where we are accepted, where we are loved for who we are, where yes, we know we're all trying, we're all working, but we're here together. And that is the best thing, present, engaged, attentive, this loving community. So we are so happy that you have come home. I want to thank you for your patience and your sweetness as we get used to our new space. We are all blessed to have so many people here, and we'd like you to preserve that sweetness by turning off your cell phones. Right now, the whole world is, enjoying a new year, and they're probably posting on Facebook just how great the new year is, but we're just gonna wait to see what that looks like after we experience it ourselves. So please turn off, silence your cell phones entirely so we can preserve the sanctity of this time. And lastly, if you need any help from anyone, please turn to our wonderful volunteers, so many people that work with us to make everything awesome. We have a cadre of volunteers who have helped make tonight happen, and particularly people who have the Ask Me. So go ask them. Make sure you ask for any help that you need. We are so delighted that you came with your new machzor. The new machzor, Mishkan HaNefesh, will be our companion through the High Holy Days. It is a special, a particularly wonderful new invention of the Reform movement. It's only a few years old. And tonight, we want to start getting you used to it. I invite you to get lost. Now that you're home, get lost. No, go into the prayer book. The idea here is you can spelunk. You can go inside and you can see what's in there. The gray pages are going to have all kinds of creative readings. Really interesting stuff. And the blue pages will be sources from our very own tradition, primary sources. You should get lost in those too. And though every single word that comes out of either of our mouths is precious and you should not miss a moment of it, please be sure to be in your own place and go where you need to in this sacred time. We don't have it for very long, so we want you to enjoy it. And see where your soul goes on tonight, Erev Rosh Hashanah, and throughout our holidays. Without further ado, if you would just turn to the people next to you, maybe make eye contact. Maybe you haven't looked at them very deeply and said Shana Tova. And in fact, turn to the person behind you. Turn to the person in front of you. Shana Tova, Happy New Year. We're so happy that you're here. Shana Tova. Shana Tova. And the buzzer has been, I can't stop. Okay, I'll stop before I get ahead of myself. On page 10, we are going to turn to one of these beautiful introductions before we call up our candle lighters in a moment. We make lesson just listening. All the stars are hidden and the moon is dark tonight in the wide expanse of heaven, north to south, not a ray of light. Light a bright candle in my heart's shadowed tent, and through the wide expanse of heaven, the light will shine. Where there is sadness, let us offer love. Where there is fear, let us reach for hope. On this eve of the new year, may we bring light to one another. We call up two shining lights in our congregation, our president, Patty Shore, and our immediate past president, who just doesn't want to leave and stop helping us, Harry and Hansel, if you'll come up and light our candles for us. We're going to turn everyone to page 11.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov. Amen. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on this festival.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai.
page 15. At the new moon, at the full moon, for our feast day, sound the shofar, for that is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob. Praise God with the blast of the shofar. Blessed are you in our lives on the shofar, true voice of your people, Israel. Please turn to page 16. As our ark openers approach the bima, Tom and Nancy Lurie, we rise. We take a moment for quiet reflection on page 16. Turn to page 17.
מפחד יושב תהילות ישראל, באתי לעמוד ולחנן לפניך על עמך ישראל אשר שלחוני, ואף על פי שאיני חדאית והגומה לכך, כן אבקשך, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, אלוהים שדי. היום, היום ונורא, היה מצלח דרכי, אשר אני הולכת לעמוד ולבקש רחמים עליי ועל שולחי, ונא אל תפשיעם בחטאותיי ואל תכוון בהבנותיי, כי הוטית ופשעת אני, ואל כאילו בפשעי ולבושה וקבל תפילתי כתפילת זקן ורגיל ופרקו נאה וקולו עם הבריות, והילה דילוגנו עליה אהבה, לכל פשעים תכסה באהבה, וכל צרעות והרעות הפוך לנו לכל ישראל, לששון ולשמחה, לחיים ושלום. האמת והאהבו, ואל יהי שום מכשול בתפילתי. ברוך אתה שומע תפילה.
We remain standing as we close our ark, and we turn to page 20. Please be seated. Let's all turn to page 22 and read this prayer, thanking God for bringing on tonight and this day. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your great name fills the universe with majestic might. Your word creates twilight and dusk as your wisdom opens the gates of night. Your discernment separates the changing seasons and causes the passage of time. The stars arrayed across the sky reveal your design. You roll out a cycle of darkness and light, shaping day and night. You sweep away day and carry the world into nightfall, setting day apart from nighttime. You are God of all we can't perceive and all that is beyond our perception. Living eternal God, be our sovereign to the end of time. Please turn to page 24.
Time
page 25 as Mitchell Shapiro and Alan Reynolds lead us.
Shema Yisrael, hear the voice of Hannah. There is no one holy as the Eternal. Truly, there is none beside you. There is no rock like our God. Shema Yisrael, hear the call of Moses. Embrace and carry in your hearts this day, in heaven above, on earth below. Adonai is God, there is none else.
Shema Israel, hear the words of the mystics. There is nothing but God. No place and no person is empty of God. The whole earth is suffused with God's glory. Hear, O Israel, God's hands are our hands. God's work is our work. God's voice speaks through us. God is one when we are one.
Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim Israel.
Page 26. Page 28.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol malcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha ve'shinatam Beshitecha bebetecha ulectecha b'derech u'shofecha u'kumecha u'shartam leot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtatam al mezuzot beitecha u'b'sharecha.
Page 30.
Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim li'ot lahem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
Please turn to page 33. As we
To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart, to break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect, to break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy, to break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts, to break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength, to untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being, to break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope, to break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend the hand of help. Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea, and we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year.
Amen.
37. Rosh Hashanah in the pines. Darkness settles slowly across the horizon. The new year rises before us, its fragile moon awaiting our embrace. Heaven and earth entwine in their annual dance of recreation. A fissure appears in the firmament tonight, an entranceway into new beginnings. Out beyond the swales, the sea expands and contracts, keeping time to the thrumming of the universe. Under this Rosh Hashanah sky, the path before us is uncertain. All we can do is hold each other tight as we make our way home. Page 36.
לחיים ושלום
Please turn to page 42. We are ready. The words of our prayers must not fall off our lips like dead leaves in the autumn. They must rise like birds out of the heart into the vast expanse of eternity as we begin our tefillah, our silent prayer this Rosh Hashanah evening. There will be some additions between this page and page 70. 71, you might want to put your finger there just to make sure that you hold that space. Remember, going through these pages, the blue pages, the gray pages, the white pages, making sure that you are just immersing yourself and seeing where your soul goes this Erev Rosh Hashanah evening. We will then, on pages 70 or 71, when we're finished, be seated. But we ask you now to please rise.
Praise.
peace, profound and lasting, all-embracing peace. Let this be your gift to Israel, your people, and your goodness, author of peace. Bless us and all people, every season, every hour, with the peace that is yours to give. Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace. Turn with us to page 245. Let's think of all those people in our lives who are in need of healing, healing of body, healing of soul. In their suffering, we send our peace, our intention, our love. As we sing Misha Beirach, and when we pause between the stanzas, you'll send the love for those for whom you are healing and say those names out loud in that moment. Misha Beirach.
Once
back to page 74. As we turn to page 74, we invite our ark openers, Rona Shapiro and Alec Land, to come open the ark. And as they approach, we read responsibly on page 74. Avinu Malkeinu, strong was the faith of generations before us. In exile they proclaimed enduring hope. In the shadow of persecution, they affirmed a transcendent love and compassion. Ours is a different age, less confident and certain, more tentative in its trust. Together,
there are many who say to the works of their hands, "You are our gods." But when our worship centers on our own creations, we feel less gratitude, more doubt and despair. This is the paradox of our spiritual lives. We grow smaller in self-exaltation, nobler when we reach for you.
We rise as our ark is opened. On this night of return, let us find the humility to come close to you and open ourselves to your presence. For you are absent only when we fail to make room for you in our hearts, distant only when we turn away from you. Now, as others have done before us, let us overcome doubt and speak these words of affirmation. We call you Avinu. As loving parent, forgive our wrongs and failings. Accept us in our human frailty. Together, we call you Malkeinu. As sovereign of our souls, help us rise from our brokenness to build a world of shalom. To this vision, we offer ourselves anew. Page 76.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu, Leal Aleinu, V'tapeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu,
I'm so delighted that we could be here tonight. Ringing in the new year together, Shana Tova again. Whenever we gather, it is so awesome. It is a celebration of who we are. Temple Israel is a community of souls which seeks to create meaning in the mindful living of life through Jewish values. Tonight we show up to remind ourselves of who we are as individuals and as a community. Tonight we have come here in order to see each other up close. Tonight we dare to do what author Brian Stevenson calls getting proximate. Now Stevenson, in all fairness, coined that term in the context of justice work, noting that one reason people tend to steer clear of other people's suffering is because they are suffering, is because it's too hard to get close and witness anyone else's pain. But if we are actually concerned that proximity would truly endanger us, it would stand to reason that none of us would have dared to show up this evening. Here we are. We are curious and we want to test our assumptions about each other. Will you judge me or will you accept me the way I am? Are you authentically interested in where I come from? How well do you think? Well, do I think I know you? We may feel a little self-conscious, but no matter. This is a safe place. And even if today is Yom Hadin, the day of judgment, I hope you can trust in the fact that this is a judgment-free zone. Because Temple Israel aspires to be an open-minded, pluralistic, and loving home for all, and because we know that there is only one true judge. Any judging that happens here is strictly between you and God. So my soul is just celebrating the fact that we are here together. And yet, I have to admit, my heart is aching for all of us, living in a world so beset by pernicious polarization. And I can barely take in the news without having my blood pressure spike. I may not be alone there. It's not just the content of the information, but the underlying rancor, the lack of derech eretz, civility, that I hear between people that shoots pangs of sadness and fear through me. Maybe that's how you feel too. Then again, maybe you don't, and that's okay. But perhaps all of us would agree that we are, as a society, tending to shout past one another, deaf to each other's words, desperate for our viewpoint to be heard. We default to a defensive stance and often dismiss other opinions out of hand. I admit that I, myself, have done this. I'm not proud of it. It seems more and more rare to find people of any political or other persuasion who are genuinely open to the opinions of others and committed to curiosity. When did we stop being able to talk to each other, heart to heart, soul to soul? Why do we seem so unable to give each other the benefit of the doubt? As members of American society, it doesn't matter how you vote. Will we ever again be able to see panim el panim, face to face, just as Moses and God did, to see one another's essential souls in loving relationship as members of American society, as members of the Jewish community, on matters concerning Israel, religious pluralism, and any other issue that feels precious to us. The rift between us is widening, and this is poisonous. It can affect our bodies and minds, causing illness. It is an unhealthy effect on our kids, and is taking a toxic toll on us as a culture. Where's the decency? Show me the menshiness. Where's the derech eretz we used to enjoy? Or maybe it wasn't there, but I'm noticing it so much more now. I will answer you with confidence. Where is the civility? It is right. We all possess it. Can we reclaim a certain level of derech eretz, civility, in our own interactions with others before it's too late? I say yes. I say yes emphatically. Because we each have to have a hand in taking responsibility to bring that about. We cannot continue to dismiss each other. It is time to stop, get curious, and listen. It starts with remembering that words create worlds. Every person is a world unto herself. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Comes the blessing in our morning prayers that praises God as the one who spoke and created the world. Easy to forget, but when I disagree with another person, my words still truly matter. And I forget sometimes, we all forget, is an entire universe of undeniable thoughts and experiences. There is a long and winding road the other person has traveled to arrive here at my doorstep with his ideas. So if I have to resist defaulting to my download response and instead actively pause to make the right word choices and maybe even allow for silence to be the most dignifying response. I hear you. Can we challenge ourselves in the moment to ask pointed yet compassionate, generative questions to unearth something of where this person may be coming from? Can we pause and cultivate patience and equanimity long enough to genuinely learn something about this person's story? It is indeed possible for us to engage in this way, in a civil conversation with someone, to still preserve and elevate that person's humanity, even though we totally disagree. Bear with me. There's a story from our Talmud. Hillel and Shammai, their schools of thought, the great sages and their pupils fought on the same issue. It's recorded in the Talmud because nobody remembers, for 3 straight years. Count them, 3 years they fought. At the end of the day, a heavenly voice, thank God, comes down to declare, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chayim. Both of these are the words of the living God. In other words, this argument has value and that argument also has merit. Each position has its inherent worth. But at the end of the day, Hillel wins the legal debate. Why? Not because he was right and Shammai was wrong, but because, quote, the students of Hillel were kind and gracious. They taught their own ideas as well from the students of Shammai. They even went so far as to teach Shammai's opinions first. I know it sounds quaint, but kindness and generosity of spirit, according to our tradition, will always be number one. It will never go out of vogue. Authenticity counts for a lot. If I care about you as a person, you and I can engage in healthy debate, l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven, as in the story of Hillel and Shammai. So while my internal voice may gasp, how is it possible? How is this possible that she came to that conclusion? Are we living on the same planet? That's my internal voice. But I can resolve to take the compassionate curiosity approach, asking instead, well, what makes you say that? I'm wondering how you came to the idea that the earth is flat and unicorns are inhabiting Columbus. Please take me through your thought process. I want to learn where you are coming from. That's an argument l'shem shamayim. That is learning for the sake of heaven. I am not always right. I'm not. And in the end, the risk to me is minimal, and the reward for all of us is great. Yes, there are some people who are fools out there. We would just call them fools, but most of us are not. And we don't want to be called fools. Most of us believe what we do for good reasons. But here's the real kicker. When we dismiss another person for their opinion, we actually dehumanize them. We effectively lose sight of God's presence in the world when we don't listen and we don't care. But if we can lift up and honor their words by listening to them without judging that person's legitimacy in our community, even if, and especially if we disagree with them vehemently, we can still lift up and honor the other person's simply because it is their story. It's theirs. And if we can lift up and honor that person's story, maybe, just maybe, we might learn something. Maybe, just maybe, we will have succeeded in lifting up and honoring the Holy One who made us all possible. We will have fulfilled our mission here on earth just by giving meaning to each other's sacred lives through listening. I want you to know that I am regularly struggling with this and personally trying to enlarge my L'Shem Shamayim skills. I want to speak just for the sake of heaven. I study Musar with a group of rabbis every week to cultivate and meditate on developing the characters, traits of patience, equanimity, compassion, and generosity. And I'm starting a class this fall for congregants as well, and I hope you'll come. When I receive feedback from you, and I have, my beloved congregants, that you and I may not see things the same exact way, and that I may have neglected to think of things the way that you do on a certain issue, I strive to answer you, and hopefully I ask you out for a cup of coffee and we sit face to face and we talk it out. We have done that together. Yay, both of us. I'm clear about my beliefs, but I know that there are people who disagree, and part of why I'm giving this to you tonight is so that you can hold me accountable to these values. And hopefully I can do the same with you. So that when we find ourselves tempted to respond out of defensiveness or fear, we can seek to speak or enter into silence from a place of love and not fear. This is some of the hardest Torah we will ever have to do together, but we can and we must. And as eternal students of life, who are we to take a pass? So are you ready? Are you willing? Are you able to recommit to Derech Eretz, building this new year? Professor Brene Brown of the University of Houston writes that she is. She says, I'm ready to sit next to you rather than across from you. I'm willing to put the problem in front of us rather than between us or sliding it over to you. I can genuinely thank you for your efforts rather than criticize you for your failings. I can model the vulnerability and openness that I expect to see from you. Tonight I want to end with a bit of modern-day Torah, a poem by the Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai. It's called From the Place Where We Are Right. From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard. But doubts and loves dig up the world like a mole, a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood. On this Rosh Hashanah, let us not forfeit all that we can learn from one another from the place where we are right. Let us instead be ready to get proximate, be willing to get curious, be able to be patient. May our words create worlds of health and healing. May we honor and uphold each other's vast and genuine experience. May we argue only for the sake of heaven, and in so doing, may we allow the holy oneness of all to shine God's radiance upon each other. It is my prayer that God grant us all a year of radiant love and abiding peace. Amen. And Shana Tova.
we all have been hurt, though we all have hurt each other, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven, though we all have caused pain in our words to one another. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Slach lanu, machalanu, kaper, kaper lanu. Slach lanu, machalanu, kaper, kaper lanu. And though we all for the words that we have spoken, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Let now be the time to repair what has been broken. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Slach lanu, try that with us. Slach lanu, kaper, kaper lanu. That's it, slach lanu. Slach lanu, machalanu, machalanu, kaper, kaper, kaper lanu. For the gates are always open. For the gates are always open. For the gates are always open. Though we never can change all the times we've been mistaken, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Let us try to rebuild all the trust we have forsaken. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Slach lanu, machal, machalanu, kaper, kaper, kaper lanu. Slach lanu, machalanu, kaper, kaper lanu.
Turn to page 78. As we make Kiddush, sanctifying this day.
We lift this cup for the year that is gone, for mountaintop moments and the taste of joy. Join us. Celebration shared, milestones met. All we've mastered and achieved since last we met. For tears and kisses under the chuppah, new babies, first words and first steps. For the children who bless our homes and bring life to our community. Commands, young teachers of this holy congregation, ours to cherish and guide with love. For beloved wives and husbands, sisters and brothers, for loyal friends who grow more precious with each passing year. For this community which nourishes us all. For all we've learned, for all we've struggled through, for challenges surmounted, disappointments met with courage. For last moments shared with those we loved and lost. For parents and grandparents whose memories are with us forever. We live for the year that begins. May we meet it in strength, in unity.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am ורוממנו מכל לשון וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה את יום הזיכרון הזה, יום תרועה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו והחיינו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
L'chaim.
לחיים.
L'chaim. Page 82, everyone, as we come toward the conclusion of our service, please rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, l'azeit g'dula le'oseh breshit, shelo asanu k'moyei ha'ratzot, ve'lo tzamanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu ka'hem, ve'lo oraleinu k'chol ha'monam, va'anachnu rorim u'mishacharim u'modim livnei Erev malchei ha'malachim hakadosh baruch hu.
Page 85, let's read together. May the time not be distant, our God, when all shall return to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotry shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Please be seated. The light of life is a finite flame. Like our sacred candles, life is kindled. It burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance in our life. Night follows day, the candle of our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen, yet we do not despair. For we are more than a memory slowly fading into darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. Tonight we think of so many people who have made our lives what they are. We think of them in solemn memory tonight. And we ask if there is anyone here who is in the 7 days after having lost a loved one, if you will please rise so we can recognize your loss. you'll recite the names of those people for whom you are saying Kaddish. If you're here during the Shloshim, the 30-day period after having lost a loved one, if you'll please rise so we can recognize your loss and if you'll say the name of your loved one. If you'll say all the names of the people for whom you're. If you're here during the 11-month period after having lost a loved one, we ask you to please rise right now so we can recognize your face. And tonight, on this Rosh Hashanah, we recognize the following yard sites, and please stand as your loved one's name is recited. Murray Saul Paselnik, Benjamin Pincus, Harold Zinko. Are there any additional names that you would like to have mentioned? Please stand and recite them. We stand with you, together, shoulder to shoulder. We all turn in our prayer books to page 90. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which binds one generation to the next, we say, Yitzgadal, Yitzgadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayichon, V'yomechon, V'chayei Techol Beit Yisrael, V'agala, U'bizman Kariv, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, V'gorach, V'olam Lo Me'omaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitfa'ar, V'yitkomam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei, T'kudsha, B'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'yiran v'yoma v'yimru amen, yehi shlama rabba min shemayim, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oser shalom imromav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace bring peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are grieving. Zichronam livracha. May their memories continue to bless and inspire you always, and we say, Amen. Please be seated. So I need to just send a few thank yous out before we end Cantor. We are very, very, very grateful to so many people, and I'm not going to name everyone by names, but in clusters. So, our incredible team of Temple Israel staff, without whom, ... exclamation point. They are truly tireless, they smile a lot, they are serious, they are loving, they are talented people, they live and eat and breathe Temple Israel, and we're so grateful that they made tonight and every day possible in our sacred community. Members of our wonderful Temple Israel Board of Trustees, we are so grateful for you in particular. Another shout out to our president, Patty Shore, our incoming president, Amy Weisbach, and our not yet gone for some reason, Harriet Hansel, and the team of the JCC, who have blessed us to be able to be here while we build our new home. I want to thank Carol Folkert and Mike Clapper and Temple Israel's own Jenny Kameyer for just being so patient with us and working this out with us, and all the people who work, Cynthia, Roosevelt, Victor, oh my God, so many people who make it possible every single week and every night we're together. So all of you, rock stars, and every one of you who has helped us really get to this moment is Shehechianu in the biggest way tonight, because we're just so grateful to be here. Please refer to your handout that you were handed tonight. It has every single detail you could possibly want about the high holidays and about what good stuff. Too much to say. Shana Tova. Thank you so much for coming here tonight for being vulnerable, for being open, and for being you. Shana Tova, not even 9 o'clock.
We conclude with the singing of Adon Olam.